40 days ago, I created a Frankenstein ecosystem with insectivores, detritivores, alien-like insects, and an apex predator. And it all goes terribly wrong. Before we get into the story of this Frankenstein ecosystem, please consider subscribing to the channel if you enjoy the videos. And if you'd like to support the channel more, please check out the Creature Kingdom Patreon page. Now, you're probably wondering, what exactly is a Frankenstein ecosystem? Well, an ecosystem is defined as a biological community of interacting organisms and their physical environment. And some of you may be familiar with the story of Frankenstein, where a gifted scientist named Victor Frankenstein becomes obsessed with the idea of creating life. As he finally succeeds in the creation of life, he realizes that he has created a monster. This hideous creature suddenly turns on him, destroying itself and mankind in the process. To make this Frankenstein ecosystem, we first have to start with the structure itself. I've spent weeks collecting a variety of organisms to help kickstart this environment. I want this ecosystem to be as simple and as natural as possible, as it will change a lot in the coming weeks as the different organisms settle in and adapt. Now, it's time to introduce our inhabitants. These organisms are all found within a kilometer of each other, so they are not invasive or foreign to each other. Let's start with our detritivores. Our selected detritivores are millipedes, snails, lots of isopods, and of course, a few earthworms. Next up, we have some of our omnivores. These beetles primarily eat vegetation and plant matter, but they will also seize the opportunity to eat very small organisms in the substrate. We have 3 different beetle species going in, and they are all durable organisms, especially for their size. Now, our predators. Like a true ecosystem, we have different levels of predators than our apex predator at the top of the food chain. First is our centipedes. We have 2 brown centipedes to patrol the ground, but I like to think of them as 2 brothers that patrol the neighborhood, like if the neighborhood watch was in charge of pest control. Next is a unique predator that relies on climbing to avoid danger. This is an assassin bug. While we let the ground level organisms scatter and find refuge, let's add in the assassin bug. Now, time to add our spiders. First, we have 2 house spiders. I think these will be perfect predators to cover some of the open air space. Then, our wolf spider. This young female wolf spider has already been through battle out in the wild, as she is missing a leg, but amazingly, they can regenerate their legs as they grow and molt. Now, our apex predator of the tank, for now. This is another wolf spider, but a different species. This female is older and more bulky. To avoid confusion, let's call this wolf spider the apex wolf and the other 7-leg. She is the clear apex predator of the ecosystem, but if 7-leg can survive and can continue to get enough food, she will become the largest organism, as her species grows significantly larger than the current apex wolf. As the day was coming to an end, I let the organisms settle in for a couple hours, and decided to check in on them one more time before night. I couldn't believe it. Right in the front of the tank, our apex wolf spider had an adult isopod dangling from its fangs. As night approaches, rainfall sweeps through the ecosystem. After a chaotic first day and night, the ecosystem has already begun to take shape. I spotted this snail enjoying the moisture from the rainfall. Right away, this lamprey beetle was climbing around everywhere. On the earth, the ground beetle was quite active as well. Surprisingly, the assassin bug was still hanging out on the center plant leaves, patiently waiting for his next target. This is weird. 7-leg is hanging from the ceiling of the enclosure. Either she's getting ready to molt because they hang upside down to molt, or she's trying to avoid something below. I noticed small white pieces near the back wall. I don't believe it's the carcass of any organism, but it does look like a possible molt of an organism. The apex wolf seems very active on the ground as well. She must have just caught this victim. Watch as her fangs are piercing through the tough exterior, and it's only a matter of time until the wolf spider's venom kicks in. All the insect can do is struggle to get away. The assassin bug continues to patrol the center plant. He seems to move so slowly until small insects pass by. I came back later to find this. Now we know why they're called assassin bugs. The assassin bug has harpooned a wandering isopod. Before the day ends, I see the assassin bug just finished molting on the center plant. He's going to be very vulnerable for the next 24 hours, but if he can survive it, he may move up the food chain with his increased size. The problem is that the apex wolf has decided to climb up the center plant and is just inches away from the vulnerable assassin bug. Five days later, and tragedy has struck. The green assassin bug disappeared. The last time I saw him was the night of his molting, and the next morning he was gone. Looking around the whole habitat, nothing remained except his old molt. Big changes on the ground continued to take place in the ecosystem. I was looking around for our detritivore millipedes, and eggs. I haven't seen the millipedes much, but they must be adapting well if they are laying clutches of eggs. But a new organism has accidentally begun inhabiting the ecosystem. Gnat flies. You see these tiny black flies? Those are gnat flies. I didn't place any in this ecosystem on purpose, but they likely already had eggs in this substrate from when we collected it in the wild. But we have another problem. Seven-legged the wolf spider appears to be increasingly thin. This is weird because the detritivores are thriving and there is almost an overabundance of prey for her. Despite this, her abdomen is looking skinnier and skinnier. This can only mean one thing. The apex predator is pushing seven-leg out of the ecosystem. On day 14, a lot has changed. The house spiders have comfortably set up their webs and have managed to stay out of reach of everybody else. The apex wolf has climbed way up, and the house spider is unaware. That was close. This house spider has set up a web in the top right corner. And aside from seven-leg, every other organism seems to be thriving. Unfortunately, the ecosystem is about to face a major challenge. We are introducing a new predator to the ecosystem. This is a giant Chinese mantis. She is equipped with powerful front legs to grab any prey she comes across. I'm going to add her into the ecosystem, but I'm unsure of how it will affect the ecosystem. The movement of the house spiders catches the mantis's eye. The mantis only sees movement. This might be the most terrifying and interesting part of mantids. They don't have venom and will slowly eat their prey alive. After 10 minutes, this spider has been completely consumed and there's nothing left. On day 25, it appears that the giant mantis has taken over the center plant and is carefully watching everywhere around her. She begins moving down the plant. It's a centipede. I haven't seen the centipede brothers in weeks. Remember, mantids are attracted to movement. What happens next is shocking. Oh no. the mantis pins the centipede against the ground. I can't believe what I'm seeing. The centipede is squirming and trying to get out of the mantis's grip, moving and twisting. The centipede can do nothing but wait. Over the course of the next 15 minutes, the centipede is consumed alive by the giant mantis. In the first 48 hours of this new predator introduction, our ecosystem has been severely damaged. On day 30, I'm noticing a big shift in our ecosystem. There appears to be more and more gnat flies in the enclosure. The detritivores are becoming more and more active, and I'm seeing more isopods wandering around the moss. I haven't seen the apex wolf in days. The giant mantis has devoured most of the predators, and the ecosystem is running out of top predators. Potentially 4 of our predator species are gone, and in this small ecosystem, that is very bad. On day 40, the ecosystem is very different than it was just a couple weeks ago. The mantis has become the new apex predator, hunting and killing most of the predators and pushing the others out of the food chain. The detritivore population has exploded and gnat flies are all over, and we only have a couple predators left. But it's only a matter of time until the apex mantis takes down the rest of them. In the pursuit of knowledge and curiosity, we endangered the ecosystem, and it went terribly wrong. Just like Dr. Frankenstein, our creation got out of control, and the Frankenstein mantis destroyed everything around it. As we dismantled the ecosystem and removed the remaining creatures, something amazing happened. I found 7-Leg. After not seeing her in weeks, she was buried deep in the substrate. And not only was she alive, but she had molted, regenerating her missing leg, and grew significantly bigger. This wasn't the last of 7-Leg, but rather the beginning of a new journey.